Hello everyone, welcome to Durrett Steak. It's that time of the week where I go over my college football, my top 10 games of the week and my predictions for them. And let's get started with week 3. Now, here's a little bit of a warning. This week does not have a lot of good games compared to last week or what it will be next week. It's just one of those weeks where there's not a lot of marquee matchups. But you can find some hidden gems this week, and that's what I've tried to do. So let's get started. You got my number one game of the week. You got 14 LSU versus Mississippi State. LSU 9.5-point favorites. When I have a game like this as the best game of the week, then it shows, like I said earlier, not a lot of marquee matchups. But this game can be intriguing though, because the Bulldogs, can be a pesky team, especially at home, and they can make things interesting. My biggest question is, are the Tigers going to get stops on defense against a solid quarterback? Because Rodgers from Mississippi State is a very solid quarterback, unlike they did in week 1 against Florida State. I think this will be close, and then maybe finally in the fourth quarter, LSU talent helps them pull away to avoid any upset here. I've been winning 34-24. Number 2, you got BYU versus Arkansas. Arkansas 8-point favorites. This was a shootout last year before the season started. I predicted it would be the same once again, but after 2 weeks, it would not shock me if this is actually more of a defensive battle. BYU on offense, albeit against subpar competition, has been inconsistent, especially with their offensive line run blocking. On defense so far, they have definitely made improvements, which is not hard to do since their defense was that bad last year. But again, you have to look at competition. Arkansas on defense has improved as well. Again, albeit a competition, specifically at pressuring sacking the quarterback. The thing to keep it that's very interesting here is that Razorbacks star running back Raheem Rocket Sanders is out for this game, and the offense was not as dominant last week without him against a bad Kent State team. Interesting fact: both teams are the only 2 of the 3 teams left in college football as of right now that have scored a touchdown every time they have been in the red zone. So I think that's where the winner of this game will be determined. I think the Razorbacks will find a way to survive at home, but I do think the Cougars can definitely cover the spread there. I have Arkansas winning 31-26. Next, you got Pittsburgh versus West Virginia. Pittsburgh 1-point favorites here. For the average college football fan, let me tell you, this is an underrated rivalry game. It has all the hatred of great games that you could want. Last year in Pittsburgh, the Panthers made the clutch plays to win the game. This time in Morgantown, how will it go? I will say that the Panthers struggled to stop the run last week against Cincinnati, and the Mountaineers' strength of the team is to run the ball, whether it's running back or quarterback. I think West Virginia's quarterback Garrett Green can make enough plays with his legs to lead the team to a big victory here. And I have West Virginia winning 20-17. Number 4, you got 8 Washington versus Michigan State. Washington 16-point favorites here. This game gets more interesting recently because Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker is suspended and most likely will be fired at some point due to the sexual harassment claims I won't get into. But the question is now, how will the team respond? Will they be fired up and play their butts off, or will the Huskies' talent just be too much for the Spartans and it can end up being just another blowout for Washington? I think the Spartans will keep it close for the first half, but then Washington's dominance will show in the second half with quarterback Michael Penix Jr. and his great receiving core. So I have Washington winning 41-20. Number 5, you got 11 Tennessee versus Florida. Tennessee 6.5-point favorites. After the way Tennessee looked last week against Austin Peay, this could actually be a closer game, which no one was thinking about after week 1. Now, as I stated back in week 1, Florida quarterback Graham Mertz does not perform well against top 25 teams. So as long as Tennessee quarterback Joe Milton III doesn't turn the ball over and plays a clean game, then the Volunteers will win this game. Although I do think it could be closer than expected. So I have Tennessee winning 28-22. Next, number 6, you got Minnesota versus 20 North Carolina. North Carolina 7.5-point favorites. Minnesota hasn't played great competition so far, so it's hard to know what to make of them. North Carolina played well against South Carolina, but struggled on defense against Appalachian State last week, which leads to the question whether Tar Heel defense has really improved a considerable amount like it appeared to be in week 1. This game will answer that question. Minnesota's like Iowa, so they're not a team that's going to be in a shootout and score 30+. Therefore, North Carolina is giving up a bunch of points. Then there's a concern. I feel that the Tar Heels will play like they did in week 1, where they dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball and they lean on the run game. like they did last week, and they get the win. I have them winning 24-16. Number 7, you got South Carolina versus Georgia. Georgia 27.5-point favorites. South Carolina on offense has the capability to keep up with Georgia in this game, assuming South Carolina's offensive line can hold up, unlike what they did in League One against North Carolina. If that could be the case, then but if that can't be the case, then expect another Georgia blowout here. I think the Gamecocks will show enough fight to at leat cover that 27.5-point spread and have Georgia winning 41-17. Number 8, you got 15 Kansas State versus Missouri. Kansas State 5-point favorites here. Kansas State has looked good so far, albeit against subpar competition. Missouri has not looked good in this first 2 games, and they play terrible competition now. So the odds are the Wildcats should win this easily. However, I think a lot of pressure is on Missouri's head coach, Eli Drinkwitz, to get a big win if he wants to keep his job this year. And I think he will get his team prepared, and the Wildcats, I feel like, we'll have to hold off the Tigers to a late win here. It'll be a competitive game. I have Kansas State winning 24-17. Number 9, you got Syracuse versus Purdue. Syracuse 2.5-point favorites. At Syracuse, this was a close game last year that came down to the wire, and I expect the same thing to happen again this year. Both teams really need a win to help their case and make it a bowl game, since I don't think either team is going to win more than 6 or 7 games. I think the Boilermakers make this interesting, but I do think the Orange once again make the clutch play to get a big win on the road here. I have Syracuse winning 24-23. And then last but not least, you got 7 Penn State versus Illinois. Penn State 14.5-point favorites. This is one of those games where Penn State needs to checkmark something off their Big Ten title aspirations list. If the Nittany Lions finally want to be seen as a contender with Michigan or Ohio State, don't let this be a one-possession game late in the fourth quarter with Illinois having a chance to win it at the final minute. Because if Penn State sleepwalks, Illinois will take advantage of that. So go on the road, take care of business. I do think Illinois can make this interesting for the first half, but only for a half as Penn State wears down Illinois in the second half and fulfills that check mark off the list. I have them winning 31-16. So thank you very much. This is my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel, tell me about me. I can't wait to go over my NFL reactions for week 2 and my week 4 college football predictions for next week as well, because like I said, there's going to be a lot of good games next weekend. But enjoy the good games that there will be this week. Thank you very much, and y'all have a wonderful day.